So we have 125 trucks right now, and then we just created the software just strictly for us to simplify.
So no human errors, right? It's accurate every single time. So the consequences of errors, you're going to be failing audits. We made all mistakes possible. So from one truck to 125. So we got in this business with one truck.
Dumb people don't learn from their mistakes. Smart people learn from their own mistakes, and wise people learn from other people's mistakes. Most businesses are going to sell you on the value of your product. Today, we're here with the Avakian brothers to talk about the objections to their product. Okay, so we've got Vas and Ashat from Avakian Capital, FleetWage. First, tell us what FleetWage is in a few seconds. This is for FedEx contractors, and I want to hit all these objections that you guys run into.
FleetWage basically automates your entire payroll, and it does it for you and submits it to your payroll provider.
So no human errors, right? It's accurate every single time. It's based on the payments that were made to you. So it's basically the money that you got paid with FedEx and then recalculated into the driver's pay. So there's no human error.
Amazing. And you guys are FedEx contractors. You own a successful FedEx contract. How many trucks do you have, and how did FleetWage come to be?
So we have 125 trucks right now. FleetWage actually came out of abundance of having to do payroll for 2 days.
Wow.
And the difficulty. And then we just created the software just strictly for us to simplify. And that's when the shot was like, why don't we give it to other contractors? There's so many people having the same struggle as we do. I was like, really? And that's how FleetWage was born.
I was like, there's no way we're the only one that's struggling with this. And then it turns out there's definitely a market for it.
Amazing. So let's go into, and I think anybody who's familiar with the sales process at all is probably laughing a little bit at this concept, because obviously salespeople love objections because that gives us the ability to answer them and prove value. But we want to poke those holes, right? And see how that goes. So first objection doesn't take me that much time.
Yes.
What do you guys say to that?
So first of all, there's an educational piece to that, because, in the contractor world, it's like, if I'm doing it myself or if my wife is doing it, that means, it doesn't cost me anything. Well, it costs you your time away from your family, time away from working on the business instead of sitting there and calculating or working in the business. So one is 2-3 hours a week, every week. For me, that's a lot of time. So I would object to saying that is actually a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it's made by contractors for contractors. So we understand we have razor thin margins. So we don't charge an arm and a leg for $29 a week. It's valuing your time less than $10 an hour.
I love that. I love that you're putting a metric behind it, because there's opportunity cost that we can think about. And I think that for sure, people don't value their time enough in terms of their personal time, their free time, their time to work on the business. And so 2 to 3 hours, no big deal. That's what am I going to do with those 2-3 hours, right? And I think it's harder to explain to people what they're missing. But when you talk about things in real numbers, give me that again. We're at how much per week for FleetWage? Assuming we're on, let's say it takes 2 hours, let's say 3 hours a week to do payroll, right? 3 hours a week, no big deal. FleetWage costs how much? So how much are we actually valuing our time based on the FleetWage model?
FleetWage is $29 a week. So if you value your time at more than $10 an hour, you should definitely sign up. And it's not just the $10 an hour. It will audit. Even if you want to do it manually, I tell people, just have FleetWage on the side.
That's not just and we know that you both do mentorship, right, for FedEx contractors and for business owners. And so again, this is a good pause moment to just hit that point. $10 an hour, right? If you're doing that work, it's that mentality. You're valuing yourself at $10 an hour. And what could you do? And by the way, not just in payroll, right? It's in every aspect of your business. If you're doing anything that somebody else or something else could be doing for $10 an hour, right? You hopefully are making more than that as a business owner running a FedEx contracting business. That has to change, right? And so I think that's a good universal principle to step away from, to use that as the analytical paradigm of $10 an hour. Okay, next question. I can't pay incentives because of my state. So obviously you guys are big on incentivizing your workers and adding value, right? Creating value in their lives and in the work that they do. But I'm in a state that doesn't let me do it, so I can't, right?
So, I mean, there's so many different creative ways. I would definitely recommend talking to a CPA
Wage an hour attorney.
Yes, an attorney, they'll help you because there is a way, even if you're required to pay somebody per hour, give them some incentives. It could be your ILS percentages is 100%, you give them extra $10. There's so many creative ways where you can incentivize for people to do well.
And work efficiently. That excuse is like, oh, it's just, I'm different. Everybody wants to play that card, but the truth is like, if you made this like the most important thing, which it should, because it feeds you and your family, and looking into the incentive ways to pay people to work more efficiently, you will find a way. The whole thing like, oh, I'm in California, oh, I'm in Seattle, I'm in this, I'm so different. Please, somebody, play that victim hood like card. It's just not for us. We don't take that excuses. I don't think people that put a lot of time and effort and resource into the business should also. There's ways you can do it. There's other people doing it. Find those ways and then plug them into the FleetWage.
Well, I love the way you're saying it too, because it's not just when you talk about, and you mentioned earlier too, the additional incentives, right? You're not advocating for going around what the state is trying to protect workers against, right? You're saying, fine, your state has these limitations, pay more for value though, right? Exactly. And so talk to an attorney, talk to your CPA, and figure out a structure that actually pays more out of your pocket. But again, it probably goes back to our last point, valuing time, right? And so you guys know better than I do. I'm talking out of learning from the things you guys have said. But can you bridge those two gaps for me right now? Like the idea of creating an incentive where you're maybe paying more, right? Mm-hmm. In a state that's requiring that, but you're not sitting and doing your own payroll for a $10 an hour fee where you could be making more doing something else. So could you bridge those two for me, and how adding those incentives could actually add value to the FedEx contracting business?
Yeah, so actually, I have a client, we have a client that in Virginia, he was paying per hour, and I told him from the last year's summit, I met him. He actually just started using FleetWage. He called me, he's like, Vaz, I realized the incentive way is the way to go. He's currently still paying hourly rate, but on top of that, he's putting stop threshold. So if they go over 100 packages, he gives them an extra $1 per stop. So that motivates them to do cleanups, do more stops, take bigger routes. Obviously work longer shifts to get more hourly rate. But you just make incentivize for them to maybe walk a little faster, run a little faster to the stop, to take a picture, just be more efficient versus just taking the time if somebody's getting paid per hour.
And for him, what's the benefit to him?
So the benefit is, let's say you have a route that's been doing like 15 people will be covering depending on the area. Well, now the more people want to do more stops, so you're finding that the people that are willing to work a little harder, so that area is now going to be covered by 13 or 12 routes or 12 trucks. So then you're saving 3 payrolls, 3 trucks, 3 maintenance, 3 fuels. All goes to your pocket. And then these guys, instead of doing 100 stops, let's say walk in the park, let me take a lunch for an hour and a half because I'm getting, you're not incentivizing them to work faster or more efficient. Now they're willing to do it more efficiently because now there's an incentive to it.
And now, and does that allow for growth as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Because now you have more money in your pocket. So that way, what can you do with it? You can upgrade the trucks, instead of them falling out and you have no money, you can get new trucks, you can get new equipment, you can get new scanners, you can get new dollies. You can have a better culture in your company where you're known to, if you work with this guy, you can make money, then other people want to work with you. There's opportunities for growth. And
you guys do a lot of mentorship and coaching. You've been doing this for 13 years. So, I mean, who better to understand the nuances of where you can make this money? What is the payroll threshold that FedEx contractors specifically should be looking to target in order to be the most efficient?
I mean, the goal is to be under 50%. So, I mean, we've seen people as high as 68, 64, 74%. So there's definitely rooms for improvements for them. And
so, and with a software like FleetWage, where you're calculating things faster, with incentive-based plans where you're able to get more from your people and provide a better service, that's how you start to push that number down, that percentage down, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. And like in the FedEx world, like a lot of contractors would like to, run to FedEx and say, hey, you're not paying me enough. Like, this is not, like, I'm not making any money. We like to look inward first and see, am I running the business efficiently first? Once you figure that out, then you can, go and figure something else out outside of but like look inwards. A lot of people don't like to do that.
Yeah, of course. And then I feel like as you're talking through that, one other thing that I think of, which is, an objection, right, is, well, you want me to go from 15 to 13 people. I need those extra 3 people, right, to run. And what if. And so what do you kind of say to folks in that position?
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, we have a specific area. We have a customer who's FedEx, is our 100% customer, and it like the territory and the life honestly doesn't really care how you feel about those 15 people. Maybe they're all your relative or something. At the end of the day, if you want to continue paying them, that's fine, but there's a writing on the wall. We're gonna tell you that you're not writing efficiently. So if you want to do that, this is the model, that you have to do it with 13. You can have 2 on standby or whatever else, but you can run it with 30 people. But the truth is, the model's telling you should be running it with 13.
That's how many you should be running on it.
You can still pay 15 people. It'll still cost you less because the two trucks is sitting there.
Right. And you're not wasting that time, that money, the gas, all of that. That's great. All right, next one. My pay structure is way too complicated. So tell me first, like, what are you seeing that some of these FedEx contractors have concocted? I'm just imagining them like a witch over a cauldron coming up with some of these.
I think sometimes we've seen it all, but then Voss gets a call and somebody gets on the call and then he can probably tell you some weird pay structure.
And I would right away, I would come to shot. I'm like, this guy pays every day a different rate. You have a stop threshold if he goes to this location, and it's just like, how many ways? Like, just stick to one. Like, the most underrated feature in FleetWage is actually you can run payroll structure without submitting it to payroll. So you can say, hey, what if I pay somebody $100 a day with a stop threshold of after 100 you pay $1.20, and then change it. Okay, I'm going to add six-day bonus of $25 to everybody, and just to see what it looks like.
So we've never talked about that. So this is a modeling software too. This is pay modeling software.
Of course. That's the most underrated feature. I tell people, you don't like FleetWage, use it for free. Just keep tweaking it till you perfect the payroll.
Just demo it, right?
Until like you create the goal is always, when we analyze payroll, we got to create win-win situation where the company makes money and the employees making money.
Right.
I mean, these types of analytics and models are reserved for, Fortune 500 companies. Like, it's not, usually you're paying a lot of money to have somebody that can run these types of analyses and demo models that you could test and A/B test and all this different stuff, which I think there's not a lot of opportunities for, a FedEx contractor, right? Even though you're part of FedEx, you really are this FedEx contractor, which is a small business, right? That's serving your one client, FedEx. And so, yeah, that is a definitely underrated feature. So just to confirm though, if I have a really absurdly complicated, I'm paying everybody a different day, will FleetWage account for that, or you need to simplify your payroll for both reasons? One, to be able to work with FleetWage, and 2, because it's an insane model that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, FleetWage has insane amount of ways to pay your drivers. It's just sometimes we see absurd.
Yeah, like on Monday, I'd like to pay them X amount. On Tuesday, because I was born on a Tuesday, I'll pay a little bit more. On Wednesday, it's a full moon. Like, we don't have like something like that.
But in all seriousness, no. Are there any legitimate reasons for why you would have these different pay thresholds on different days of the week and stuff like that?
Most of the time we hear like, this is how I bought the contract. This is how a previous owner used to pay or something like that. So, but again, you can look into it, you can analyze it, and you can create a structure where it's very similar, where you can play with the numbers like Vasa without submitting it to payroll.
Yep.
And then realize like, okay, well, actually it's only 2 cents difference, but I don't have to go out of my way and to create it like every Monday I have to,
sure.
So we would encourage people just to simplify it, just from the human error standpoint, like where it's like you're not going to be running into problems every week where people's like, oh, you underpaid me or something else. I forgot to pay you. That Tuesday was a full moon.
Right.
It's $5 extra. If you don't create those narratives, then it's less chances of you making an error, really.
I love that. And that kind of brings me to my last one. I'm fine. I'm really good at Excel. And I think, to tee this up, right, and the error piece, what is the consequence of errors?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the consequences of errors, you're going to be failing audits. It's whether it's going to be a state audit or FedEx audits, because FedEx is also putting their stamp on it, like, as your working partner. If you're going to not pay your people and work with FedEx, it's a bad branding for FedEx. So they're going to make sure they're going to create their own internal audits to make sure you pay people properly. So if you're going to make a mistake, or it's like, oh, it was my cousin, he helped me out that day, I forgot to pay him, it's going to create issues. And I think it's like 2 or 3 failed audits, even by like small margin, they can potentially pull your contract out, which is a big deal.
So I don't care how good you are at Excel.
I mean, if you like the Excel, keep using it. Just have FleetWage audit your Excel. Just for that, that's worth it. And then at some point, a lot of people have done that. A lot of our customers have done it. And they realize, like, oh my God, FleetWage caught this mistake. And FleetWage is more than just the payroll calculator. There's so many other features where you can text your drivers of the performance. There's a write-up feature. We actually going to be showing other feature that we're going to be releasing, which I want to touch based on that also.
Yeah, and also I want to point out, like Vas said, it's a lot more than just payment calculations. It's also transparency piece. So a lot of times you're going to pay somebody X amount of money. They're going to hope that you didn't make a mistake, that it was accurate. With FleetWage, they're going to get a report. How many stops they did last week, how many hours they worked, what they got paid exactly for. If there was something you made an appreciation, they're going to see that, hey, I got paid extra $25 for XYZ or something else. So it's very transparent. And people like transparency. And if you're the only or the most transparent contractor in your terminal, people would want to work for somebody like that.
Of course. Let's dive into the code a little bit. And I know you have some features you wanted to share, Vas. So why, for some folks, obviously they're FedEx contractors that are hopefully watching this, not software engineers, right? But maybe they have some Excel background. What is it about FleetWage or how it was developed that it is so effective and consistent and accurate?
We have, number one, we're a FedEx contractor, so that made it a lot easier to develop. And number two is both of us are engineers, so that made it even easier to create a tool like that. And we use multiple tools that audits each other. Like, for example, one of the biggest tool that we have charge statements audit DSW.
Okay.
And so DSW is what the guys see when they scan packages, and charge statements is what FedEx pays us for number of stops. So we have crisscrossing and checking it to making sure the number of stops they did, they were actually efficient. FedEx paid us for that. And there's multiple flags. So, like, for example, if somebody running multiple CSAs, we can see and the flags if on the same day a driver worked at 2 different CSAs. So you're not going to double pay him. Let's say if you're paying somebody $200 a day.
And someone can ask, how can that happen? When you could, if you're running multiple terminals, one guy can log in the morning, do a couple of stops, and then if you needed help, and then
at a different terminal,
he went and did some pickups later that day.
You sure?
And let's say it's a manager, and you pay him a salary. It doesn't matter how much he works. I mean, that so that way you're only going to get paid for that one day. So there's
Well, I love it because it kind of answers the question of, we've already talked about, well, it doesn't take me that much time. And if you're in the case of, I only have one terminal, it doesn't take me that much time. Well, you're still not valuing your time well. Right. In the case of, I have multiple terminals where I do want a tool that's going to support this, it's amazing to see that this has things designed in the background that are going to be doing multiple checkpoints within the software, which is why it's so effective at checking your other work, whether it be Excel or whatever other model that you're using.
And the thing is that even if you're small, you have one terminal, you have a couple of drivers, start using this tool like you're big. One of the things about scaling the business is have the, everything lined up for the growth already. So even if you're small, start acting like you're big, because I mean, the truth be told is you should be getting bigger, and be more successful if you're good at it. So if you're already using it, it's going to be easier for you to become a multi-company, multi-terminal.
Right. It goes both ways, right? There's other trajectories and strategies for growth, but you have to be ready for the growth, right? New features. So I think we've hit a decent amount of objections here that that you guys face. What are some of the new features that are exciting that are coming out in FleetWage right now?
So we on our radar is that feature was always there. We just didn't know how to tackle it because there's no tools like that out there. And that feature is scheduling. Scheduling, every contractor I know having trouble with it. They're using third-party apps.
They're not designed for.
They're not
our
designed.
business.
Phenomenal, right? Phenomenal tools, right? But they're not designed. They don't have work areas. They don't have all the employees.
Different
So
terminals. Yeah.
our goal is to create scheduling software, and we're actually going to demo that, a beta version at the FedEx Summit. So I'm going to be super excited to show to people. And then the people that want to sign up, I can include them in beta testing before the full release. will
Oh,
come
very
out.
cool. Okay,
So
awesome.
if you're a FedEx Summit, please stop by. It's definitely a cool feature.
I mean, that's one thing right there that you're going to be able to take advantage of this new feature, be in for beta testing and test run scheduling. And so, what have you seen that are some of the pain points for folks with scheduling and how it impacts the business, your revenue, audits potentially, and how this is going to be so tremendous when it's integrated within Paychecks?
So one of the things is definitely an advantage is a lot of times it's in manager's head. It's like, oh, I know like little Johnny is working on Wednesday and Wednesday comes in. He told him a week ago when he was loading a truck that he's going to be off because of his dental appointment and he forgot to write it down or something like that. So it's going to be automated. It's going to have an app on the phone where the driver has to confirm an evening before that he's coming in that day. So if he's not, that's potentially there's going to be some call outs or something like that. And then it's going to be organized. And you don't have to keep an Excel like we talked about it or some other spreadsheet or have it in manager's mind where things are. So that way you're going to be able to, in the evening, log in and see, okay, 8 out of 9 drivers confirm they're coming in tomorrow. So then you can reach out to that driver. Oh, I forgot. I was like, I'm going to confirm right now. Or he's like, I'm actually not feeling well. I'm not sure. So that way you can plan ahead.
Amazing.
It's a big deal for us. We cannot have any routes sitting and, packages not delivered because the manager forgot that the driver had a dentist
Well, that's where
appointment.
you run into those other examples where, my cousin came in and helped and I didn't remember to pay him because somebody didn't show up on the schedule, or you've got a manager running and doing a route,
Right.
or the FedEx contractor owner backfilling for these mistakes, right? And this is the way you really avoid that and systematize things. Is there another value to these two things being in the same place, right? So, payroll we've got covered now with FleetWage. Scheduling we've got covered now with FleetWage. Is it just that we're smart engineer, FedEx contractor gurus, and we made these two pieces of software that happen to be in one place? Or is there added value that now you have both of these things talking to each other in one portal?
Beautiful question. It's a beautiful question.
Yeah.
Vanessa.
So the first thing I think of is like, let's say you have a route and that route is 300 stops. And if you place a driver it can only do 200 and it's going to show what's his average number of stops he's been doing. It's going to show us a red flag.
history of that driver's performance. That driver can only do 140 stops. You're putting him on a route that's 200. That
You're going to be 60 short.
So it's going to be like, are you sure this driver is able to do that? So it's going to also confirm how good you're doing your scheduling. And another beautiful thing that was actually Vaz's idea is also it's going to give you historical data saying, hey, you're putting 8 drivers on a Monday. Historically, you've been running 9 routes. Are you sure 8 is good enough? Because historically, you've been dispatching 9.
Wow. So it's looking at all of your data and analytics. How long do you think it's going to take for a business that's utilizing FleetWage for this to kind of have the information it needs to start making those recommendations and things like that?
Oh, instantly, because you can upload your previous. You could have joined. You've been FedEx contractor for 8 years, but you joined yesterday. You can upload that data in there, and it's gonna know everything. Like you've been a FleetWage customer for 9 years.
That's amazing.
Because you can go back. We have it. You can go back to 4 payrolls from the time you join, but maybe we're gonna unlock it so you can go back 8 weeks.
If you need to.
Yeah.
But 4 should be enough
Yes.
because that's relative data.
Right. It's all right. You don't need the driver that doesn't work here from 8 years ago that was
Yeah.
running 300
8
routes.
years ago,
Yeah.
this route was different.
Right. Exactly. Oh, that's fascinating. So you're going to have the ability right in one place to see the scheduling, to make sure people are showing up when they're supposed to show up, that routes are covered, that the appropriate people are on the correct routes. That's an amazing nuanced detail, right? That and let me ask that question, and maybe this is obvious for FedEx contractors, but why is it that you always use little Johnny as your example? So I'm going to use little Johnny right now. I'm borrowing little Johnny, even though my name's John. I feel like he's always calling me out. Little Johnny, can only do 140 packages on a given route. Why is that some drivers are able to just outperform other drivers like that? Is that is it experience? Is it and is there a development and coaching aspect of like getting little Johnny to turn into big Johnny and start delivering all of his packages?
I think that's just the nature in business. Some people are just more adaptive. Some people are not. That's a really good question, but I would probably say it's a lot of things. It's your physical fit. It's your drive for success. I think that's the most important, really, because I've seen people that you don't think they'll be able to do 10 stops, but they do 150 because they have a drive to make sure that they feed their family obligations as a man or a woman. So. But
driving skills,
driving experience, how good you are and how good you can get to drive the truck safely. So it's a lot of factors, but I think honestly the drive for success is really
it sounds like we could do a whole different video on how to coach up drivers to be better, but it's important to note that different drivers are going to perform differently, and this software is going to be able to identify that and ensure that you're applying the right driver on the right route, and then make sure you're paying everybody correctly.
Correct. Yeah. And it's also a lot of things is a lot of times we can point out like the driver and their success or failure, but how we auditing the manager that's setting up your business. So this software is going to help you do that. So that it's like, why are you putting 13 people when, we've been running 12. Why are you putting that person into that route when it's not going to be successful? So it's auditing your manager skills of putting the right people at the right places, because let's be honest, that's the manager's job.
So now you have these reporting features, I imagine, where you're looking at all this data. Your managers you should be using it to optimize the routes and the drivers and the deliveries and the schedule. But you're also able to audit them and make sure that they are actually executing on those reports, right? Yeah. Amazing. And you can hear sort of the insights and experience from running this business for as long as you have, 125 trucks in your fleet, and just knowing and probably having grinded and made all those mistakes over time.
We made all mistakes possible. So from one truck to 125. So we got into this business with one truck, just delivering ourselves. So we made all the mistakes possible, and we're hoping that with our expertise in our software, people don't have to make all these mistakes.
Don't have to do it. I always love the saying, and I say this to my son all the time, that dumb people don't learn from their mistakes. Smart people learn from their own mistakes, and wise people learn from other people's mistakes. So be wise. Check out FleetWage. I think we hit some great objections here. Thank you so much. Ashot, Voss. Check out FleetWage.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.